it's Will here coming at you with another unboxing. I do not have Callum with me this time, it is just me. We are unboxing a new starter set that just came out from Warlords. It's being shipped and delivered as of now. And they had a cool promo, whereas if you pre-ordered the starter box set or other bundles, you would get a PDF version of the rulebook for free. If not, you can, and you already have your own model tanks, or you just wanted the rulebook to check out yourself, they do have those stuff separate and things like that. So going into this, just to clarify, this is not, it is its own game based off of bolt action models and some rules. It is not necessarily a replacement to a starter box for bolt action or a hard replacement for Tank Wars. Tank Wars is basically just going to be a 0.5 add-on to, it's the Armored Platoon add-on to bolt action, which they will be doing stuff with bolt action 3rd edition, which most likely will add that stuff into it, so it combines both books. So that's just the initial, hey, PSA, this isn't a replacement to that. If you bought all that stuff, you have all those models, you do not need this box set. You can find the stuff online to play basically for free on maybe easy, on some sort of like army builder site probably, or buy the rule book, which is dirt cheap. So, and because books aren't getting touched by the Warlord price increase, it's not badly priced. And of course, you don't need to use the bolt action models. You can use as small as the 1/100 scales from World of Tanks board game, which this kind of feels like an updated version of that, or your Flames of War. You can do your, if you want to go huge, you can do your 1/35 scale tanks if you wanted to, or tabletop similar, stuff like that. So that's the pre-ramble into this intro video. Let's just get right into it. That's the pre-ramble, guys, so we're gonna get right into this video. Just as a heads up, we're gonna split this into two things. We're gonna look at the box out here, where it's nice and bright and you can see me better. And then we'll have a second view of my desk where we'll actually rip this thing open and look inside in better detail and have final thoughts. And yeah, we're also gonna have Callum come in, and we're gonna review this box this week. Next week, he'll come in and give his 2 cents on the system once he's got decided. He's splitting this with me. He's getting the Panthers, I'm getting the vehicles, which I bought something with it to turn them into other things, but yeah, I'm wasting enough of your time. Let's just get straight into it. And the game that we were talking about, if you have already seen the title, is this one right here. It's hard to see because of the glare in the camera, but you'll get a better view of the box and once we get to the close-up, which this thing is huge. It is thick. It's got really nice art. I love this art on this box. It is about the same size as if you say you bought the like the Waterloo starter set. I think it's a little bit taller than that. Board game wise, I'd say it's like a mini Gloomhaven. Yeah, it's like a mini Gloomhaven. But yeah, so that's the game right here, is this boyo. So we got this, and then in the box when you order this from Warlord, you will receive one of these boys. And this is kind of cool. I like this idea that they put in here. So it's like, once you've played this, where do you go with the tanks? And you have your sort of like intro into bolt action, like they're using their website. And then on the back, they have an ad for, I think might be an add-on or a different version of a board game that was kind of like And then I have I personally added onto my collection the new tank team for the Americans. So we're gonna get into this, we'll take deeper looks into this, and when we come back, we will have our final thoughts with that. Here we are, we have the box right in front of us. So here's the top cover with a beautiful art by Steve Noon, I believe. I will have this one saved in black and white, and I hope to color it someday. So we're gonna take a quick look here at the front and the back and the sides, and we'll get right into it. So here's the back, and we'll zoom in for you guys. We have our description of what the game is right here. The description of the game. along with what we get in here, which is Panther Offs A's, 2 Sherman 5s, 1 Firefly V, Firefly 5C, stowage and accessories, so that's cool. You get the British and asset German cards. You have the event deck, which you need to play for some cool things. We have decals, damage markers, we have token markers to play, cards. So basically, and then of course here, I'll just show it off. Basically the back with all the tanks and stuff. So yeah, so basically you don't need this starter box to play right away. As of now, as I've seen, as I've read online, in order to play, one person might need this starter box, and then you have somebody else buy their art factions data card separately with the rule book. But yeah, stuff like that. But they'll most likely sell the markers and the cards and stuff separately. I think the card bundles came with, like the army faction bundles came with the event cards and stuff like that. I could be completely wrong. I just saw a big starter box for a new game from Warlord, and I can use my models with it. So, and Callum wanted some Panzers, or Panthers, so we decided to split it. But let's get right into opening the box. Slide. These aren't in here originally. I put them in just for carrying, so we'll get over those later. Starting with, we will start with this. So this was something new that they implemented into the boxes, and we have it. So this is like their bolt action starter box. So if you bought these tanks, you can easily buy this starter box here and get into bolt action with some good models and some good terrain. So these would go good hand in hand. You can have 2 different games, but you can also have a large collection. So if you guys want to know more, check out this QR code here. Then on the back they have a Kickstarter. So yeah, so I think it might be like Combined Arms, but who knows. I'm excited to check this out. And then we have, so I bought these guys separate. These are the new Warlord Resin American teams, so the non-winter versions. Because I have the winter ones, because they did release at one point American and German tank crews, but they were winter themed. So these are the teams in the spring side. So yeah, I want to turn these tanks into American tanks too. So, which base plastic, you only really get a American commander. You need to buy the American crews to get American crews. Anyways, we have the person who packed the box all together. There you go. And we have at the top here the rule book, which is plastic wrapped. I'll open that later. Then we have the Blood and Steel book itself. So we have intro into it with some buildings and some vehicles. There you go. We'll deal with that. Anyways, so and then we have some flags, some wordings. I think this is a quick one for the missions. Information about the tanks is on this side, and some stuff about characters in it. Tank Ace, so they're like named characters. Alright, it looks like we have an instruction manual. Here you guys go if you need it for your own vehicle later on. Then we have about the British tanks. And then we have named character for them. And of course the instruction manuals, how to build the Sherman 5s. Sherman 5s are mostly British, the British version of the Sherman. So if you play Allied factions, not to say the Americans didn't use the 5, but if you wanted to kind of know the difference between your 2 tanks, the Sherman 5 was the more, and I could be wrong by this, again, I don't claim to be a historian, I just like tanks, and I'm learning myself, so take my word with a grain of salt, but I'm pretty sure in most medias and games that you see, and especially miniature games, the Sherman 5 was mostly a British and Commonwealth vehicle, with some being used in America as replacements. And then the more classic Sherman that you see, the M4A1, whatever, or the more rounded-y, not long back, but like the short bodied Shermans are more the American tanks. And of course we have a decal guide. Woo! This is really good. So I'm really liking this book. To get this extra terrain in this book too. So that's sick, a free added value for how much you pay for this. So I really like this book. It seems like they definitely learned from their past starter boxes that this book, if you don't know anything about World War II, like you know the basics like from Band of Brothers, Call of Duty, this box will guide your hand. So if you're not too well reversed in, you know, paint schemes, markings, or what the difference of the vehicles are, this book is the first one you'll want to read from the box set. This is going to be a really good guide to give you information and a crash course without being too over the top with it and just going to every little detail. It's just going to go into the basics, the colors, the markings, and that way you can have a nice quick to paint vehicle on the table that's historically accurate for the markings. If you want an actual legit paint guide, Sledgehammer, I'll have his link down below. Please forgive me if I get it wrong. I'll have a title. I'll have a title. He's basically the he's like the Duncan Rhodes of Warlord Games. Even though he's not officially working for them, he is basically the Duncan Rhodes of them. And he's painted and done like how to speed paint the starter models in here in one of, I think, the other different factions too, and how to do winter themes and stuff. So highly recommend checking out his channel for how to paint Warlord Game stuff. Starting at the bottom here, we have this. Every starter box that Warlord Games makes, and I kind of wish other game companies would follow this too, Cough Cough Games Workshop, has this page here. My Waterloo box had it, if you guys have seen that video. The Island Assault box had this, but basically this is something you just have out. It tells you the rules, so if you need to reference something, things like that. For those who have played bolt action, the rule set in this and how it hits and shoots and stuff is more in depth because it's meant to be tank, so that's the main focus. But I'm actually going to start using these rules for tank combat in my bolt action games, just because it makes the tanks feel more alive, they feel more beefier, things like that. They don't just you don't have the instances where your Tiger 1 gets instantly dropped by Katusha. So yeah, so I like that idea. So holding that out, we have our, you know, rulers and nothing else. Sometimes they have things on the corners here, like the Waterloo set had these covered in casualty markers, because you don't actually remove single models for each guy that dies in the unit. You just count up until the unit's dead and then you remove it, because it's a large scale game. And then as you can see here, we have a bunch of interior bits. I'll have B-roll or pictures of the actual stuff in it, because there's a lot in here, so I don't want to open everything up right away. So, and I also have a low battery, so I just want to cover what's in here, and then we'll get into fine detail of what you actually get in here, if that makes sense. So let's just get right into this here. Starting off here, we have some of the stowage to be added to it. This is pewter. We have two of those. So this is the mix of it. So we have tracks, ammo boxes, a stop sign, a bike you can throw on there. But I think I'm going to keep the bike. I'm going to give that to my British dudes to, or you know, I'm going to use the bike to give to a dude to make it look like they're off the bike. I'm not going to put it on my tank. Then we have, let's see, we have our asset cards for our British. So each faction will kind of have their own unique ability cards. If you've played games like Star Wars Legion, War Machine, Infinity, I think might even, but like those sort of games where you have it's a card game with models, Apex Legend even, this is going to be very familiar. We have our markers, our tokens, which has our movement stuff and points and things, and you know, other terrain markers. There is terrain, and terrain is interactable in this. Then we have this is my favorite part of this game, the stat cards. So everything has stats and lives, and there's crew, all that stuff. And it looks like we also have the cards that are exclusive to this box set. We have Dois. We have a deck of cards, I believe. I think this might be the generic cards for everyone. We have our 3 or 4 damage markers. We have the German asset cards. Then we have the main models. We have our Panther. I don't think I've done a review on a Panther. You get 2 of those. I have done reviews on Sherman-based vehicles before though, so if you guys want to see my reviews on they're Shermans, feel free to check out my channel. But we have 1 regular, 2 regular, and here's the Firefly, which has the hull machine gun is covered. And then at the very bottom, we have our buildings. So I'm gonna go, and here we go. We have some boxes, so if you want to learn how to paint, there's paint guides. Actually, yeah, there's a paint guide for each faction. So we have like the Americans, how to paint them. We have the Germans right here. We have the Russians in their box. And then we have the British. Now the one part that you guys might be the most excited for, we're going to take a quick look at the tanks that are in this. There is duplicates, so I just pulled out some of the major different Sprews. So starting off at the top here at this pile, we have this is the Firefly. So as you can see here, we have the hull machine gun has been marked off. Besides that, hull's basically about the same. Then we have the Sprue that's exclusive here, which has ammo box on the back, sand skirts, and the same as the normal bottom of the Sherman 5. Next off we have is the Panther. This is the bottom hull and the tracks and the top of the hull, and the second Sprue, which has the turret, the back, and the road wheels. The normal Sherman, just like the top, and the same sort of back. So basically they use the same, it's just that one top Sprue that's different, and the treads. So next off on the Sprues we have is the townhouse plus the burnt barn. These are a thicker plastic, meant to be more for terrain. This I would definitely use super glue on, but the nice thing about their plastic buildings is they do have little parts, just like the older Games Workshop stuff, where they kind of clip together. And here's the townhouse. And the second half of the townhouse. And this should give you 2 little mini buildings that your tanks can hide around and do stuff in. But yeah, as we are here, this is the interiors of the box. So we're starting off with the rule book. So I flipped through this quickly here just to see what was in it, make sure it was all good. And yeah, so I know basically a bit of the rules. I watched some Let's Plays of it, how to play. And it's very cool. It's like a unique skirmish game, except for instead of using 2 to 3 models or 5 models of infantry dudes like Shatterpoint, you're using your armored stuff from Bolt Action or your personal collections. But yeah, I won't keep you too long. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to go in depth with here. This is I think one of their most fullest start collecting, or intro boxes to date. at least of I've seen. So let's get right into it. So here's the front of the book. Again, it is a large book. This isn't like a normal size rule book. This is a I want to say it's about the size of a Warhammer 40k codex. So there's that. Then the back here, as you can see, kind of explains things. I cross this out myself. I do that to all my books to make sure that I don't mix them with people, because I just little X to it, unless it's a very unique specific book or it's like a collector's item that I'm going to keep home. So flipping it open, it's really nicely animated, laid out in art. Here it explains what's in the book, in the box. You need a tape measure, you get dice though, and a nice table that they have. Starts off instantly how to create your tanks, your platoon. But the stars, so how it works here is from what I can quite remember, is there's some way to determine your stars by dice rolling in your dice. Your tanks have certain ratings. Here it says if you get a d6, so you roll a d6 for like whatever, and if you, depending on what you roll, you get an amount of stars based off your game. So if your tank is a low caliber tank and you roll like say a 3, you get 4 stars. And stars are used for this right here. So this is how you basically make your ratings, your veterancy for your crew. And the higher this is, the better. I see a lot of people go 1, 2, 2. So 1 in the driver, 2 in the gunner, loader, and 2 in the commander. So depending on the vehicle you're playing, like your type, like say if you're doing a recce vehicle, you know, like your Stuarts or your Greyhounds, you're going to want to put more into your driver and maybe your commander because you want to spot. Or say your heavier tanks, where you know you're basically just driving straight forwards, you're going to be hit, you're going to get immobilized. You probably might not want to dump all your stats into your loader, gunner, and your second dump stat is your commander. Then your medium is like, you can do equal, 1, 1, 1, or 2, 2, 2, depending on your roll. Got that. Of course, this explains that. How to prepare. Art with nice weapons, and I can feel the ink. How the game works, and more stuff about how it works, how there's ammunition. So a new rule that was introduced to this game that I think I'm going to use too, kind of. This one I might ignore just because, you know, to speed it up, is there's now ammunition types, so you have to actually load ammo. I think once I turn this into, use this in bolt action, I think I'll ignore that rule, just so when you shoot, you use the HE value or whatnot. Traits, so your universal rules are in this game. Wield and stuff. How your cards, more weapons, vehicles, information about anti-tank stuff. Missions, and then of course the beautiful artwork from the cover. There is a campaign mode, so this is meant to be, it's again just like any other sort of like skirmishy game like Necromunda or Kill Team stuff. This has a campaign mode. Tank Wars also kind of had something like this, but basically you can your guys will level up with Veteran C, and this is kind of like the main way to play it. So the idea is you take like a campaign book from Bolt Action and you play with this. So you have your sort of like Bolt Action games on the side. You can have your tank games on the side, you know, basically, or play combined arms with this. You can do that, and stuff will cross over. You have models now. They're emphasizing each major faction, including like France and Italy, have tank crews. So when a tank dies, your guys can hop out of the tank and run away, or hop into a different one, stuff like that. As the sheets, blanks. So these ones are for if you want to make your own vehicle. So say they don't have stats for a niche tank or something, or like say they don't have a stat card for the Panzer II, then you could, using the rules in here and with your friends, you can kind of make up your cards and stuff. Of course, always scan these or find them on their websites. Don't draw in your books. And here's the cards, as I was talking about. So here's all the with this being here, we don't actually have to really go through the sealed ones, because these are the same. They're just one of you literally just scan them and the right amount that you need is there. So these are cards, and then you have your markers, your turn counters, your ammo, and of course your information for all the different vehicles. So if you don't really have the card, you can quickly reference here. And I really like that they did this, so you can take those cards in the back and rewrite them on using this. So you literally just need this rule book and you'll have all the information you need to play the game. But I do highly recommend the cards just because they have all the information pre-drawn on the cards, and because they're nice lamination, you can use a dry erase marker to write on them, or especially if you use like a tape or a seal on it. And you'll get data cards, you'll get exclusive tank ace cards and stuff from it. So this just as the base stuff. They will be releasing more tanks and rules and stuff in the future, at least for a good year or so. I mean, we have, so yeah, these are just basically, like I was saying, those, so these are the cards. Here's the book that comes with the starter box exclusively. So here we go, we have the cheat sheet. So again, it tells you kind of like your phases, grades, things like that. Basically like a DM screen, the back of a DM screen, but for your game. Yeah, so we'll take a quick look at the British cards to see kind of what they are. We have that. So these have stars. So I think the stars are, when you roll on that chart for stars and stuff, I think that applies to these two in some way. So there's that. So these are reinforcement cards, or I think they're called reinforcement cards. So the idea is, some of them are, some are not. These are things that you can play during your turn, kind of like actions. So it'll say you can do it when here, and other ones will be like, this is you can order in, and then like when you can play them. So here you go, and these will interact with cover and stuff. So that is the data cards. So as far as I'm aware, this box doesn't come with Ziploc bags to put these in, but it seems like you get one of these for each tank is one of these cards. So just like we saw in the back of the book, they're just, you know, in that board game cardboard. Then we have, actually pretty thin. I thought this would be thicker. This is just paper. See, as you can see, it just frickin' ripped. And it's like tape almost. Oh, this was not made well. This I think might be an issue. The turn tracker and the little clips that go on it to count your score. Yeah, this might be something I would toss and or photo scan it, whatever, and make a thicker version. But then of course these are back to being our cardboard also. So yeah, here we have some skills. So these come with the tanks and they're very specific to them. So if you have like a high level character, you can use these. Oh, flash of green. We have sheet. This one's specific to the box, so you split it. Then we have the main important parts here, which are tanks. So we have the stat cards here. These ones are the aces. We have the regular one. So you have one per tank. And it kind of feels like you could potentially write on this, but I probably wouldn't. I'd probably scan them or, again, laminate them. I think I might laminate mine. Then you have the Panther. So there's that. Here's the storage stuff. So I believe you can buy this stuff separately in different ways. But yeah, so foam. You have the foam. This is steel or pewter. So we got different rolls. We have more rolls to put on the side. They're flat on one end, so you can glue it to the side. Then we have the more interesting stuff, so bigger rolls, tarps and stuff. Sandbag that wraps around a wheel well. More stuff here. Wheels, contain like a suitcase thing, maybe a plate for a mortar. Bag and a helmet for Germans. This is German kit, so you can slap it on like a commander do that pops out, or put it on the side of the tank like it's wired to it to hang on off of it. Spare road wheel for Americans. I believe a stop sign or a banjo. I think that's a banjo. That's a banjo. Road wheel for the Panther, so you can glue that on the side. I'll give that to Callum. I'll give him some of this. Spare tracks for the for the British. Spare tracks for the Germans, or vice versa. Ammo boxes to put on the top. A resin bike. And more ammo box. That has been Auchtung Panzer. I am super excited for this game. Hopefully I went through some of the rules with you as we opened this up and looked at it. It's going to be a pretty long one. If you guys like this sort of video, I tend to do unboxings on things that I personally buy. I never get sponsored by anyone. I'm just excited for stuff. I buy it, I want to play with it. Never going to paint it, which I'm here to say, hot take. If you're a person who loves to buy models, collect them, build them, and play, and you take your time to paint, it is okay to play with gray. I know, but it is also a Chad move to respect some people who might not want to do that, like play with you if you don't have painted, but also people have certain time in the day and things like that. It is okay to play with gray models, even if like you just prime them. Like that's the level I get to, is I have so many models, so many armies. If I can just build them and prime them, and because I have them all primed certain like colors, just like board game pieces, it's cool. And this game is going to be perfect for that. If you just prime these, they're appropriate, you know, primer colors. The Panthers being like that oxide red, and the Shermans that green or offish green, depending on if you're British or American and you want to build these. It's going to be great. The cards in here are just a small taste of the actual things. If you want to play with more vehicles, because they do have a wide variety of vehicles with this, and they're going to be adding some more throughout the year. They do have all the different armies as separate sets. This is a card-based system, so there's that. And yeah, I'm excited. It looks cool. You get terrain in here, which very few of their starter boxes do. I do also have their pre-painted wood buildings, which I built. So if you guys want to see a review on that, because I will be using them for the test game me and Callum do with this. So if you guys want to see that when we do this, if you want to see a review on them, kind of a little talk about that, please let me know down below. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and watching this stuff as much as I did when actually opening this. So with that, guys, we will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.